Welcome. And today is the part two of discussing about self. What is self, and how to maintain self growth and self happiness. It's part two because we had one already. If you missed it, go over to my YouTube channel to watch it, and comment and share it with people you think might, not you, but people you think might be benefited by this nice conversation that I'm having with X. And today is the second video. Make sure you watch the first one at Monetainment Haiti on YouTube. You will find the first video, and on to the second one. X, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Last time we talked about self. To your eyes, when we talk about, when you say self, it it has to do with the whole rest of the universe, because it we all one. So tell us about that.
Well, the question "what is self" is connected to the one of the other questions that have been asked, or the statements "know thyself." You know what I mean? It's basically the same question. You know, it's one of the things that basically every religion and anybody who's involved in any type of spiritual work, you know what I mean, is always working on. When a person is in crisis, you know, most of the time it's because they have some type of lack of self-confidence and lack of self-understanding. So once they get back to their roots of who they are, which is self, then they can understand themselves better. So literally, it's almost like the doorway to knowing yourself better is self. You know what I mean? So you have to know who self is in order to live a more productive life.
Nice.
And you're related to everything. You know what I mean? One of the major problems in the world today, as you know, is lack of self-knowledge. You know what I mean? And so then there's so much confusion and chaos about who.
Self-knowledge means knowledge about yourself, about
Yes,
self.
yes, and
Should I say yourself or just say self?
just say self, because I
Okay.
mean it's all inclusive. I mean that it is for me. You know what I mean? When I say self, I'm including myself. In fact, one of the things that I think we talked about last time was, people ask me where I'm from, and I always say I'm from my mother's womb.
Okay.
Okay, but it's not what most people think right away from my mother. My physical mother, but the universe is a womb.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Right.
The universe literally gave birth to us. We came out of this universe. This earth gave birth to us. So we're not separate from self. We grow to live in harmony with self because we came out of self as self.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't transform into self. We were always self.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What happens is the self becomes more complex,
Mm-hmm.
and the more complex self becomes, that's a process of paying attention because you're growing, and part of growing means attention. If you're not paying attention to growth, you're going to miss something in yourself because you're the most important growth that you have to pay attention to. If you're not growing, then you're stagnant, right? So
Or you're shrinking.
or you're shrinking.
Some people say if you're not growing, you're shrinking.
Yes.
And so let me ask you this: like, let's say if I wake up this morning, I feel bad. I feel real bad. I feel real bad. Who do I blame? Who do I blame? Like, do I blame self, or do I blame myself, or can I say, hey, you pulled you pulled the blanket over me last night, and that because of that I had a bad night. Can I talk like that, or should I just say, man, self must have been not happy?
You could. There's so many ways to look at that.
Okay.
And for me, I would say, don't blame.
Okay, don't blame.
Don't look for somebody to blame.
Okay, don't blame. I'll tweet that. Okay.
Because you're gonna get stuck.
Say more.
You're gonna get stuck. Blame is the easy way out. Just like legislation is a lazy man's way of fixing a problem.
Right.
You're passing a law and you just kick. It's like kicking the can down the road
Yeah.
because you're not really getting into the person's psyche. You're not really going deep into the core of what the problem is. You're saying, "Oh, let's pass the law. Okay, bye. See you later.
Yeah.
It's done."
Yeah.
No, it's not.
But that doesn't solve it.
That doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like saying uh, that drinking one glass of water will solve your thirst for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you have to drink water pretty much every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or every several hours you have to have a glass of water because you have to replenish. So you're always replenishing yourself with self knowledge. So because it's not, people talk about enlightenment. Enlightenment is not a moment in time. You can awaken, okay, to begin another journey in your life. But life is a process of transformation, dying, rebirth, dying and rebirth. When people say, "Well, when do you die?" You die all the time. What are you dying of? You're dying from the past because every day, every moment is a moment of rebirth. That's what self does. That's why you don't blame, because if you blame, you're getting out of yourself in the sense of you're looking toward other to fix whatever this is going on in self. So you're creating a separation between yourself and other. So you're looking for somebody to blame other than looking at what is the problem. What is the problem? And it's the same thing as trying to find a solution in a savior. You know what I mean? Instead of looking at the problem yourself and trying to fix the problem yourself in where you're at, you're going to be looking for somebody to either blame or somebody to fix it for you.
Right.
And I'm saying that has nothing to do with self-responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Self-responsibility means that you look at the problem yourself, and you come up with a solution. So you start breaking down, what we talked about before, the first principle, and you start breaking everything that you need to get to the core of the cause of the problem. And then you can start, after you break it down, then you can start,
Yeah.
like planting a new tree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're literally uprooting a sick tree
Yeah.
that's got all the roots that are diseased.
Yeah.
You can't trim the branches and expect the tree to get healthy.
Right.
You got to pull that old tree out. It's sick, and plant a whole new healthy tree.
I know.
And you have to know the whole process, every stage of that process, because that tree is representative of you. You're branching out, like you have a business. You know what I mean? Your personal business that you have has different branches to it, and every day you're literally adding another. It's another branch is sprouting.
Right.
It's not a separate tree. It's part of the same trunk,
Right.
the same roots, but it's branching out, and it's
Right.
giving you another understanding, a greater understanding of what you are doing in your whole process
Right.
of growing the tree. So it's
yeah.
and that's what self is. Self is that tree.
Is that tree? Okay.
We're part of the same human tree.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're
different branches.
We're different branches. You know what I mean? And so then that's one of the reasons when I say self, you know what I mean? And I'm looking at myself when I'm looking at you.
Right.
So that I don't have to blame you. You know what I mean? I just have to come together with you and say, how can we fix this problem together? Because we came out of this self together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
If we turn against each other, if self turns against self, who's benefiting? We're both in the dark side,
right.
so to speak. So we're not going to get anywhere together.
Yeah.
We're going to burn together, or we're going to rise together. We're either going to sink together or we're going to rise together.
Yeah.
But
as one said once or twice, that when you blame or when you're trying to diminish somebody, you are also diminishing yourself at the same time, because let's say you if you want to push somebody down, you have to bend down to push somebody down. Whereas if you want to lift someone, as you're lifting that person, you kind of have to step up yourself to continue lifting that person, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
In other words, is you prepare a trap for somebody, you end up getting into your own trap. So that's what that means. And I have to say, some people may agree with you with your approach of self, because for me, the reason I would be agreeing with you is because you see self as part of the whole
Yeah,
universe. Whereas
existence.
some would see self in a selfish way, meaning it's only me, I, and myself, nothing else.
Yeah.
Um, are you an atheist? Meaning, or do you believe in God?
For me, it's not. It doesn't happen that way because I don't. I don't see myself as separate. I see myself. I feel like as a, if I was going to use the word God, I'm looking at God right now
Okay, I'm
because
God.
because
He's looking at God. I'm God. Okay.
because because this the spirit took form in everything. People say, well, all of the ancient scriptures, it says that the spirit took form and gave form to what everything,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
if I'm looking at if I'm looking at your you have a father, right, and a mother.
I think
So
so.
when I look at you, I'm seeing them.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at the tree, I'm seeing God.
Yeah.
That's an expression of that which people call spirit, divine energy. So the spirit took form as you and I. So the idea that I have to believe in something, no, I have to just look at you. I don't have to believe in it.
Fair enough.
I don't have to,
That's very
I
nice.
don't have to believe the sun is there. It's there. You know what I mean?
That's
You
very
know.
nice. That's very
So
nice. That's really nice. I'm God. He can see God through me. That's you can't ask for more than that.
I
But
mean, after all, we're using a word that has so many different descriptions to so many different cultures.
right.
You know, the word God. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
and so many different mythologies and myths and stories, which are profound in and of themselves, because that's part of the development of self in different parts of the world. You know,
Right.
self developed spiritually. You know, the soul developed in different parts of the world. But as a person who studied all this, they're all saying the same thing. There's really no reason for there to be conflict, spiritual conflict, because I'm looking at spirit. The only time it becomes a conflict is when I believe that my revelation, so to speak, is greater than yours. Then we turn spirituality into a competition. We turn self, right, because that's
Against
self,
self. Yeah.
against self.
Um, I guess I could ask the question in a different way. Maybe you will give me a different answer. Do you believe in a higher power?
Again,
Yeah.
here it is.
Yeah.
I mean, here it is. I mean, think about where we're at, you and I right now. We are floating in space, in a vast space. Not just we're talking about a universe that's expanding, as scientists have proven that the
Yeah.
universe is expanding. We're in this little rock, right, in the middle of space, literally traveling around the sun at something I forget how many thousands of miles per hour.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. So literally, and we're still not moving. It's so people talk about magical. This is magic. That the fact that you and I are still, and the Earth is
Like so fast.
so fast.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So, I mean,
If you are in a car and in an airplane, you'll be like that, like you would so all over the place.
and
But
yet on this
it's
Earth,
so magical. We sit here, we sit still and we're comfortable talking with our beautiful audience. Now,
so it's a
self,
manifestation.
nice,
It's a manifestation of this beautiful energy that that people have called God, Yahweh, you know, Brahma. There's a soul, there's so many different names from different cultures. Allah, you know what I mean? But it's the same energy. It's the same manifestation, and it's manifested itself in you and I because you and I are this unique consciousness, that can see can hold the past, the present, and the future, right here,
okay.
and,
Let me ask you this: you,
and
you
that's all self.
right? Okay, you will not be walking around and meet other people that has the same thinking uh, ways of as you, right? And so, do you do you do you believe that you're the only person who thinks like that, or do you meet other people that thinks just like you?
It's been proven that just by one person having the observations that I'm having, other people in other words, because if self is connected, there's like a grid. You know what I mean? So when you and I are speaking, we're speaking to the whole universe. The whole universe is feeling what we're saying, and we're feeling what the whole universe is saying back to us.
Mm-hmm.
So what is happening through me is also happening to the rest of humanity and to every creature on the planet. So because if when people use the word effect, everything's affected by it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's rippling out. Energy is rippling out through us as we speak, and we're feeling the energy of other people, other human beings, and other creatures. So it's not.
So we are being affected and affecting others at the same time.
Yes, we literally could be revolutionizing consciousness right now.
Right now, yeah, I understand that,
And
I hope so.
and the reason why I'm saying that is because think about this. There's 750 million people who believe in Buddha. Think about that. 750 million people who practice everyday Buddhism. There's another several million people who practice Christianity.
Oh yeah, it's probably more than Buddhism.
Yeah. Then there's another who practice Islam. And then it keeps shrinking from there because then there's other religions that are smaller and have less population of people that believe in it. But one of the things that we understand about that is that one person started every one of those movements. One person. You know what I mean? And he or she affected another person, which makes, now it's got two people. Then you got three. And that's the way everything expands. Because the reason why we have that camera that's videotaping us is because we studied the human eye. The reason why we have this ability to record and to speak to a cell phone is because those things already existed in nature.
We're copying it.
Yes, that's all we're doing. So the phone is literally a copy of the original grid, because before there was any kind of that type technology, what do you call these people who study the Earth, who've been studying, ancient history and buildings and different things? They discovered that somehow these people were communicating with each other. In Egypt, you know what I mean? From different parts of the world, they basically were believing the same exact things. How did that happen? How did that happen?
Quantum physics.
Yes. So
you say yes?
Yes, because it's
okay. It's now we're going to something.
We're talking about the fact that information has a resonance. It's a frequency. We really don't. We're just starting to touch the hem of the garment of trying to understand how far that information travels through the resonance, the frequency on this earth, right?
Yeah.
Because the cell phone travels from here to Africa. Hello, how you doing, man?
Right.
It was happening before that. People could feel it, but because we've become so utterly distracted by the modern world, you walk through a city, you're distracted. Think about walking through nature without any distractions. Billboards, sounds, horns beeping, just all the chaos that's going on right now was not here at one point. We were literally living in a pristine environment, literally in nature. And so then the resonance traveled further because there was none of that. And, there was no blocking. There was no walls blocking this information grid. Now people have become programmed. Self has become programmed with all kinds of memes. You know what I mean? And those memes become part of our consciousness. And so then the meme, think about it. People who have never met on two sides of the world are believing in the same memes because we have this information thing that can give us this information in an instant, as opposed to feeling it differently through this spiritual grid before that the phenomenon happened. So the information that we're receiving is different because it's more technologically provided as opposed to spiritually provided, uniquely spiritually provided. And we're missing that. That's why we have so much chaos. Because now we have, where you and I can sit in front of a phone, and we can see, on YouTube, there's 50,000 things going on at one time. But we didn't never have that before. Now we have to decipher. Our brain has to go, which one am I going to look at? Which one am I going to choose to listen to? You know what I mean? We're hoping that she's to listen to us.
To us,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
that's what you look
Yeah.
you should do. Now, so that's you said all that to say what?
To say that there's a power that is profound. You know, the word and it's connected to the word meditation. Meditation is silence. It's a sound of silence.
Yeah.
Meditation literally is a sound of silence, and in that silence you get to listen because everything stops. All thought stops, and you get a chance to literally listen to the universe as it speaks to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people get profound information,
Mm-hmm.
from the atoms, literally from the atoms in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And people say, well, how does he know that? Because that person was silent enough to listen, and that's how things move. You know, that's how you get a Christ-like figure who's literally still influencing millions of people's
Millions of
minds.
people.
Buddha. This is what we're doing with this conversation. We're moving people into a higher place, a higher state of consciousness, a unique state of consciousness where they can see they can see self through other and not see a stranger. Because think about it. How in the world can you be a stranger? We've been on this planet for millions of years. How long did we have to stop being? When are we going to stop being strangers? When did we become strangers? When did another human being become a stranger to another person? We're not strangers. We're one human family. We're spiritually connected. We're 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 we're, we're so uh, distracted by images. You know, whether it's the color of the skin, the hair, whatever it is, we're distracted by that. You know, which is I guess you could say it's natural for us to be kind of like, because that's the first thing we see with our eyes. But there's something greater behind that. You know what I mean? And so then, for me, it's spiritually. When you ask me, about God, I'm looking at God right now. You're looking at God right now. And every direction you look, you can't. What are you seeing? You're seeing God, because this is His offspring. For goodness' sake, if people who believe that God was the creator and made all this, then this has to be His. And if it's His, then it's Him or her. You know what I mean? And so then,
Or her.
or her.
Oh, you're gonna get some people mad right now
You know.
because everybody believes that God is a male, because female couldn't have that big power. So when you
Well,
say oh her,
we live in a romantic, a romantic universe. You know,
so God has a girlfriend.
I would say that I would say that there's a father, mother, spiritual figure, if you want to, see it that way, a balance
A father
between
mother balance.
father, mother
Yeah.
balance in the universe itself. You know,
So Jesus had a father.
right,
Mary didn't get pregnant just by
right.
spirit.
I mean, it's that's a metaphor. You know, I mean, that's a spiritual uh, something that has to be spiritually understood. It can't be understood through just thought. It's got to, in other words, you have to sit down, meditate, and let the Spirit speak to you, so that you understand what the Virgin Mary means. It's not like something that somebody can explain to you. It has to come to you from the spiritual world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, when human beings try to explain it, they get it all wrong because it's all based on thought or desire or a desire for power, or desire to be known, fame, whatever. So for me, it's not. I can't explain it. You know what I mean? And I won't try. It's something that has to come to you on your own, and you have to take time on your own as an individual, sit down, meditate on it, and let the Spirit speak to you, because that's how it comes. You know?
Got it. Got it. Now I started asking you about are you or you the do you feel like you're the only person who has this kind of thought thought process and thought lines. Um, if you're ever in a conversation with somebody and you're talking all this things that you know about, and end up the person thinks you're complete nonsense and started knocking glass. I can't believe
Yeah,
you're saying
I've
all
had
this
I've had
stuff.
I've had that happen to
You
me.
have had that?
Yeah.
Describe one of them. You don't have to say any names.
It's people from from specific religions, who 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 fundamentalist belief,
Mm-hmm.
which is again how why they don't understand uh, that it has to be spiritually revealed. It's not a fundamental. It's not a uh, uh, you know something that they can understand. It, that something that human thought cannot understand the things of spirit that are spiritual. So they try to fundamentalize something that should be spiritually understood.
Mm-hmm.
So when they listen to me, since they don't have the spiritual key to understand what I'm saying, they get upset because their belief says this in their particular book and their particular version of understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and which was taught to them by somebody else, passed
Mm-hmm.
down. So because this kind of stuff, spirituality is not something that you can pass down like a skill, like let's say your dad was a carpenter, he's going to teach you how to be a carpenter. That's not the way spirituality is passed down. Spirituality is something a lot deeper than that people really don't understand.
So real quick, tell us what happened. You said Jesus had a father because Mary was running around and stuff like that, and then he said he said, I can't believe you're saying these things, and
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, they I mean, they threatened to harm me, and I'm going,
Really.
wait a second. I thought, your guy was about forgiving and
Yeah,
love and peace,
yeah.
which I have again, one of I would say my mentors, spiritual mentors, is Christ. One of my other spiritual mentor, I would say, is Gandhi and Buddha. Those are my mentors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 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 I haven't read a lot of either of any of these people's things, but I understand them in the spiritual sense because I understand it from a point of view of love and compassion and truth and understanding itself, and not being disconnected from what I know is self. For me, this self is is all encompassing. So it's not like I don't have to get up in the morning going, I must reconnect with God. How could I? Because the idea that I'm not connected to this universe is absurd. How could I? How could I not be? I came out of this universe. I mean, where did I come from? I didn't come out of this universe. I mean, I think it was Alan Watts who says, just like an apple tree apples, the earth peoples. You know what I mean? So here we are. So uh, I never. One of the things that upsets people who have a different view, that want to impose their view on me, is that I don't fight back. I just,
Right. I was gonna ask you, what's your reaction like when you come across people who really don't get you, don't really get, they don't want to get you, um, and how do you handle that? It's like a form of rejection, right?
yeah, I just get real relaxed, real calm, and I say um, to them that it's not. Uh, I'm not against you. In other words, you can believe whatever you want. I'm not trying to tell you what my perspective is not infringing on yours. This is a perspective that I, came through observation.
Right.
You know what I mean? To pure observation, and I could say that I was like born into this observation, into this way of being. I had a realization, you know what I mean, and it hasn't. The only thing that has happened is it has grown, has expanded, and it continues to expand. I mean, just recently, I feel more connected than I ever have and I think it's because I have, the love that I have for humanity, and all of the things that we've been through for the last year. I've been, I've been, I've been hurt by it because I see all the chaos and all the difference, and I see all the division, all the people that are exploiting it and wanting to divide us even more. Because divided they win. If you and I are against each other, the people who want us to be divided against each other win.
Mm-hmm.
And they whoever they are, they don't understand themselves. They obviously do not understand who they are. Anybody who would deliberately try to divide human beings, they do not understand who they are, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So their problem is not with us. The problem is the fact that they don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They have this view of themselves that's just totally like out of
Mm-hmm.
who knows where. You know.
So
And
they don't understand that they're part of self.
yes,
Okay.
right. And they don't understand that the most important thing they can do is set us free. In other words, do not try to. The worst thing we can do to each other is try to control each other. Because control implies that you don't trust me. And if you don't trust me, it's because you don't trust yourself. You can't grow uh, uh, a tree inside of a jar. You can't grow a human being. If you had a son and you put him in a little cage, in a little box, you say, I want you to grow to 6'5", and the thing's only 5 foot tall, he's never going to grow 6 foot. He's going to grow, if he does, he's going to grow crooked.
Because it's inside of a box. I get this.
Yeah.
But let me tell you. Let me ask you. I ask you about rejection because me, as a salesman, I go through a lot of rejection on a daily basis, right? It's my middle name now. Rejection is my middle name because that's what we do. And so you started walking us through how do you handle how do you handle rejection, and I'd like for you to elaborate a little bit more in a more specific way, like talking the self subject that we're talking about. How do you how do you protect yourself not to take things too personally, to not affect self being, and how do you move on from getting rejection?
Well, first of all, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting themselves. You know what I mean? For whatever reason they have in their minds for rejecting you, because whenever you're if you're a person who's selling a product, you're not really selling a product. The first thing, the most important thing that you're selling is yourself. They're buying Blada, your energy, your charisma, whatever it is that you are as Blada, they're
So
buying
they
it.
burn, yeah.
Yeah. So uh, uh, so that's part of it, and then the part that the rejection part of it, for me, as I see it, is an opportunity to 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 greater relate to them in a deeper way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There was beyond the material view and into the spiritual view. So, because whenever I run across anybody who's either rejecting me or confronting or challenging me, the one thing that I'm searching for to try to break that division that's trying to expand itself and maybe become a little bit hostile, rejection going into the next stage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the key that unlocks the door to what we do have in common. You know what I mean? If I can find a way to get to this person's heart, genuinely,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Then the door will open up to let more light in, so that you and I can see each other in a better light. See self better and greater, as opposed to, which to me it's a spiritual discernment. So we've already seen the rejection part. We've already been